Let's start off with Naomi Campbell. She is notoriously one of the most difficult celebrities to work with. She was one of 6 models of her generation declared supermodels by the fashion industry and the international press, and I think it's safe to say that this got to her head, and she thought that she could behave however she wanted. Back in 1998, Georgina Galanis filed a lawsuit claiming Naomi became physical with her while they were on a work trip in Canada. Amongst the shocking allegations Georgina brought to light, she alleged that Naomi grabbed her by the throat and even hit her with a phone. Along with that, in 2004, her maid claimed to have been slapped in the face. In 2005, her personal assistant alleged Naomi had smacked her around the head with a BlackBerry, while another associate accused her of coming over like Mike Tyson after they wore the same dress to an event. In 2006, she was arrested on suspicion of attacking her drugs counselor, while a former housekeeper sought damages and claimed that she was a violent super bigot. Now in 2007, she was sentenced to community service after assaulting her New York maid, who had required stitches after Naomi beat her around the head with a crystal encrusted phone when she couldn't find a certain pair of jeans. Yeah, that sounds absolutely horrible, and I have no idea why anyone would want to work for her. Then an online user spoke of their experience with Bruce Willis and said this: his movie Hostage was being filmed in several locations of Azusa Canyon. I was a member of a non-profit charity organization that had a sizable gated lot off the base of the canyon, and our location was perfect for many production crews as they could leave all their equipment safely stored overnight. The lot was rented quite often for that purpose. During filming, Mr. Willis would come and go through the lot, where his trailer was also located. Occasionally, a member of the organization would approach him to greet him or ask him for a quick pic, and each and every time without fail, Mr. Willis would stare the person down and quite often say something to them that included his obviously well-rehearsed F-bombs. One instance in particular, I was arriving with one of the senior members of the organization for an early morning meeting. We, after clearing the massive security detail to get into our own lot, parked the car and proceeded to walk towards the entrance of the building. Like any normal human being in a social situation, we wished good morning to the people that we happened to be passing. Honestly, I didn't even realize who it was until he turned his head in our direction and said, "F you." Yikes. On the website Quora, Emily Watford, who worked at the arena where JLo once performed, detailed how her niceness is so fake disgusting. Everything in her room had to be white. She made them close and sanitize the entire child playroom for only her kid or kids, whatever she has. And that isn't too bad. If you got the money to do that, then do it, she said. But Emily added what was bad that a doorman looked at her, and apparently she hates when staff look at her. So she started yelling at whoever about it in front of the doorman like he wasn't there. He said, "So much for Jenny from the block," as she got him fired. Now that's not all though, as according to HuffPost UK, the singer has reportedly banned staff from working on her new home from talking or making eye contact with her. And she allegedly gave these requirements for a new assistant. The person has to be graceful under pressure, have thick skin, and be resourceful in foreign countries. You'll be on call 24/7, you have to change diapers, work on little sleep, and cook if the butler is away. Now, according to several of JLo's former staff members, Jennifer earned herself the nickname Paylo because she paid her staff around 50% less than they could make elsewhere. Now she just treats people like trash and wants to be treated like a queen. Harold Ramis was directing the film Groundhog Day and Bill Murray was starring in it, although Bill was not behaving properly. Now Bill was so fed up with the studio and Harold that he would dodge phone calls, be late to shoots, and basically just blew them off. The communication between himself, the studio, and the director was so poor that they suggested Bill get an assistant to deal with all of that. So he hired a personal assistant who was profoundly deaf, did not have oral speech, only spoke American Sign Language, which Bill did not speak, nor did anyone else in the production, Harold told Entertainment Weekly. But Bill said, "Don't worry, I'm going to learn sign language," and I think it was so inconvenient that in a couple weeks he gave that up. That's anti-communication, you know, let's not talk. Yeah, now that's just insane for everyone involved, and that poor assistant, they probably had no idea what was going on. Now we all know in 2022, Amber Heard had a defamation trial with her ex-husband Johnny Depp. As part of that trial, her former assistant Kate James testified, and she worked for Amber from 2012 to 2015. Now in In her testimony, she made some pretty shocking allegations about what working for her was really like. Kate claimed in court that Amber would often scream at her and allegedly use illegal substances. She also accused Amber of spitting in her face during her employment, but that was hardly the first time Kate made some dark allegations about her former employer. You see, 2 years earlier, she spoke out against Amber in another trial, this time when Johnny Depp took on the British tabloid The Sun over an op-ed piece Amber had written for the outlet. Now that time, Variety reported that Kate accused Amber of sending her rude and hurtful messages early in the morning on more than one occasion. She also claimed that Amber took her personal story of being an SA survivor and used it as her own. Now Amber had a different version of this story though, as when she took the stand, she spoke out against Kate's allegations and overall character, as she told the court that her former assistant was not easy to work with. Kate's behavior was horrible, she stated. Now, per NBC News, Graham Chase Robinson accused Robert De Niro of allegedly touching her without her permission and making lewd comments while in her presence. Not only that, but Graham said she was asked to do tasks that she wasn't expecting while working for the actor, including household chores and even scratching him on the back. Now, as for what Robert had to say about the allegations, he made it pretty clear he wasn't going to co-sign on his former assistant's take of events, with his lawyers telling Us Weekly, the allegations made by Graham Chase Robinson against Robert De Niro are beyond absurd. But that wasn't the only drama in this situation, as Graham's allegations came as a part in a countersuit. Robert's Canal Productions had actually filed a lawsuit against Graham that same year, accusing her of not doing her job properly. Now the company alleged that she had a tendency to buy things using her company card, and also supposedly enjoyed watching TV while she was supposed to be working. Now Robert also speculated per TMZ that Graham had only made her allegations in retaliation for the initial lawsuit. Now, in recent years, BuzzFeed News spoke to former employees on the Ellen DeGeneres show, all who remained anonymous. They said they were fired after taking medical leave or bereavement days to attend family funerals. One employee, who claims that she was fed up with comments about her race, essentially walked off the job, and honestly, good for her. Others said they were instructed by their direct managers to not speak to Ellen if they saw her around the office. Now most of the former employees blamed executive producers and other senior managers for the day-to-day toxicity, but one former employee said that ultimately it's Ellen's name on the show and she really needs to take more responsibility for the workplace environment. Now if she wants to have her own show and have her name on the show title, she needs to be more involved in what's going on, one former employee said. It's also said that Ellen only appears to be bubbly and down to earth on camera, but backstage she is demanding and rude to her staff. In fact, the same anonymous source revealed that after hours, staffers get together and talk about Queen Ellen. A few had even quit because of her behavior. And what is Ellen's behavior to her staff, you may ask? Well, apparently she explodes at staffers over the tiniest things. Yeah, Ellen doesn't sound like a fun person to work for. And finally, in 2012, Lady Gaga's assistant Jennifer O'Neill brought a lawsuit against her that claimed that the singer owned her roughly $390,000 for more than 7,000 hours of overtime. During her 13-month stint as the singer's helper, Jennifer said she was expected to be on call 24/7, wake the star up, and even make sure she had a towel waiting after a shower. She added that the two frequently slept in the same bed because Jennifer never had her own hotel room while on tour and was required to address Gaga's needs throughout the night. Now that is just wrong. The Daily Mail also revealed that during a videotaped deposition, Gaga was quoted as saying, "Jennifer is an effing hood rat who is suing me for money that she didn't earn." Some celebrities just need to treat their employees better. Why? Well, Lady Gaga's former assistant Jennifer O'Neill claimed that she was owed payment for 7,168 hours of overtime, and claimed that she was responsible for ensuring the promptness of a towel following a shower and serving as a personal alarm clock for the singer so she could keep up with her hectic schedule. She also alleged that Gaga expected her to be at her service from the earliest waking hours and wanted her duties to extend to stadiums, private jets, fine hotel suites, yachts, ferries, trains, and tour buses. Now she also alleged that the schedule meant she was unable to take breaks or even at times sleep. In her testimony though, Gaga said that Jennifer is an effing hood rat who is suing me for money she didn't earn, she said. She thinks she's just like the queen of the universe, and you know what, she didn't want to be a slave to one because in my work and what I do, I'm the queen of the universe every day. Gaga then claimed that her assistant hadn't appreciated the perks of her job, stating she slept in Egyptian cotton sheets every night in 5-star hotels, on private planes, eating caviar, partying with photographer Terry Richardson all night, wearing my clothes, asking YSL to send her free shoes without my permission. It is like such an amazing luxury that I get to travel around the world and have planes, and she doesn't even see what luxury is. Now, in Hollywood, Sharon Stone is known for the terrible ways that she treats her staff. Doctors ordered Angelica Castillo, one of Sharon's former employees, to undertake a brief period of bed rest, but Sharon denied her request and told her that she would have to come into work that day. Then when Angelica mentioned that she was still in pain 4 months later, the actress allegedly called her crazy and stupid. Now, another employee, Erlinda Ellman, who was Sharon's nanny, spoke out about being fired in February 2011 after Sharon reportedly discovered she had wrongly been paid overtime. Erlinda alleged that Sharon made a number of disparaging comments about Filipinos, including calling them stupid people. Sharon shamed Erlinda for frequently attending church and on one occasion forbade her from reading the Bible in her own room. Now, Sharon also ordered her not to speak to her 3 kids because she did not want them to talk like her. Then Holly-Ann Hartman was Taran Manning's assistant as well as her makeup artist. Holly-Ann alleged though that she was physically attacked by the star. She even claimed that she'd been choked by Taran during one particular altercation. Taran was then ordered to stay away from Holly-Ann after the allegations came to light, while the former's attorney said in a statement, they had a late-night argument that turned into a bit of a physical altercation. Now, Holly-Ann, who had been close friends with Taran for a number of years before the altercation, made the decision to forgive the actor for the attack, and because of their close relationship, didn't want to see her prosecuted. As a result, Taran was ordered to carry out just 1 day of community service following the incident, and was told by the judge that she had to stay out of trouble for 6 months to avoid a more severe punishment. But yeah, that doesn't seem too nice to me. Now, Anna Wintour has served as editor-in-chief of Vogue since 1988. She has become an important figure in much of the fashion world, praised for her eye-emerging fashion trends, but there's also another side to her. Her reportedly aloof and demanding personality has earned her the nickname Nuclear Wintour. Now, ever heard of the film The Devil Wears Prada? Yeah, that was based on an assistant's experience with Anna. Miranda Priestley is the main character in the story, and she is a monster to her assistants. Miranda is ruthless, demanding, and doesn't understand that her staff members have lives of their own. Now, she doesn't get close to anybody and expects her assistants to be there for her day and night. Now, interestingly enough, no one in the fashion industry has come out to dispute these claims about Anna, and when asked about the novel, Anna simply stated, "I always enjoy a great piece of fiction." Yikes.
JLo and Mariah Carey have been very obvious rivals in the music industry for as long as I can remember. So naturally, when one of JLo's assistants left to work with Mariah Carey, JLo was not having it. Kelly had been a longtime assistant to JLo before bolting to join Mariah Carey in 2013, and reportedly the key factor in the departure was JLo's boyfriend at the time, Casper Smart. Smart allegedly had free reign throughout the house and would treat JLo's staff very poorly with no resistance, and that upset Gilly, a source told Radar Online. Casper always insisted that Jennifer's staff call him Mr. Smart, and even demanded that they get him drinks, do things for him. That was not their job. According to several of JLo's former staff members, JLo earned herself the nickname Paylo because she paid her staff around 50% less than they could make elsewhere. And this rumor's been going on for a year, so I'm talking like way back in 2003 when JLo was spotted in Vegas with boyfriend at the time, Ben Affleck. Well, this was the first time. They had a big win. Ben was like, yeah, I'll tip the dealer $2,000. But before the dealer could take that reward, JLo was like, 200 instead. Now, folks have asked JLo, like, why do you pay your staff so little? She's like, I had to work hard to earn my money. Everybody else should too. And like, honestly, that's just so embarrassing for her. I think if you had to work hard to earn your money, you'd want to make it easier for others because you know how hard it is. It's just entitled behavior. It's gross. Come on, girl. Jacob Manoukian began chauffeuring JLo and her then husband Mark Anthony around in 2005 before eventually being promoted to Lopez's staff full-time as her personal head of security and transportation in early 2011, at least according to the sources at TMZ. By September of that year, though, Manoukian was gone from JLo's staff, after which he filed a lawsuit for breach of contract and wrongful termination, and this was against JLo, her company, and her manager, Benny Medina. Manoukian claimed his agreement with JLo included a $72,000 yearly salary with additional production pay, potentially increasing his compensation to $200,000 per year. According to E, however, he claims that he received no production pay or overtime whatsoever. CNN further reported that the suit claimed he dealt with intolerable labor conditions, such as working more than 40 hours a week and being prevented from taking proper meal periods, which forced him to resign. JLo filed a countersuit against Manookian, seeking $1 million of $20 million in damages, claiming the former driver was allegedly blackmailing her for $2.8 million, as he threatened to expose private information he overheard when chauffeuring her. The countersuit also alleged that Manookian became hostile and angry after JLo rejected his desire to lead and appoint members to organize a security team for a music video, at least according to The Hollywood Reporter. JLo's countersuit was dismissed in December of 2012, and they wound up settling Manookian's original lawsuit for undisclosed terms in February of 2013. So back in 2002, JLo starred in the romantic comedy Made in Manhattan. She was all over the world. She was promoting this, but when she was in London, people were talking, and not about the movie, about her demands. She had very interesting encounters with hotel staff. So she was staying at the Metropolitan Hotel. They were like, okay, this girl is like a class A diva. The hotel staff was like astounded by her lavish and extravagant demands because it was reaching levels they had never seen before. She was asking for thousands of pounds of lemon-scented candles, and also, even if she's traveling a short distance, JLo's not walking down the block. She had 7 limousines escort her to lunch at a restaurant that was only 200 yards away. This isn't the only report of her diva behavior though. In 2012, reports surfaced that staff working for her, yeah, don't make eye contact with me, don't speak with me. While having work done on her San Fernando Valley home, she was like, yeah, any of the helpers, the drivers, the contractors, do not interact with me. Technically, these rumors were never confirmed, I do have to say that, but like, come on. And reportedly, when flying first class, nobody's gonna bother her, not even the flight attendant, and like, that is their job. One time, somebody was like, oh, would you like a drink? And she did not answer. She instead turned to her assistant and said, please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime. Now, once again, like, girl, you can just talk to somebody, it's not that big of a deal. If you don't want to be interrupted, put on headphones like everybody else. So, JLo once had somebody fired for being a fan. Preeti Daj just happened to be cleaning JLo's hotel room in Germany during her big 2012 world tour. And like, she was a fan. She was like, hey, like, can I please get your autograph? And 2 of the assistants were like, oh no, girl, don't do it, don't do it. Soon after, Daj was out of a job, and she knew why. Because a day later, after the request for an autograph, the cleaning company that employed her at the hotel called and said that JLo had complained, and she was fired over the phone because of an autograph. Now, JLo has denied the claim. She was tweeting out saying like, thought you knew me better than this, would never get anyone fired over an autograph. First I heard of this was on Twitter, and it's like, okay, maybe you didn't say fire her, but you obviously complained because somebody wanted an autograph. In 2003, Endeavor Talent Agency reportedly gave JLo an ultimatum to either leave them or fire her manager Benny Medina, as they found him too high maintenance, at least according to news outlets. Well, in a shocking move, JLo did fire Medina, but then also fired her Endeavor agent Patrick Whitesell and signed with rival agency CAA. Now, this was during the time when JLo and Ben Affleck were a couple. Whitesell had long represented Ben Affleck and had added JLo a couple months before the firing. Despite gaining traction in her acting career and, once again being the girlfriend of Ben Affleck at the time, the agency still chose to put her in a tough position. And while it was JLo who kind of put the end on the professional relationship, Endeavor seemingly made it public that they didn't value her enough to figure out how to make things work with her manager. So see if you can spot the unsubtle shade in Endeavor's statement about the fallout, which attempted to make the firing seem like a mutual decision, while also throwing Medina under the bus and firing at JLo's decision making. Here's the quote, folks. Endeavor has parted company with Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer is an incredibly talented actress and a good friend, and we wish her much continued success. However, as an agency, we were no longer able to work with her manager, Benny Medina. We thought it best for Jennifer and Endeavor that we part company at this time. You literally could have taken out that entire second last sentence. We did not need that. You could have just been like, oh, we wish her much continued success, and ended it there. Would have been a lot less messy. Forbes credits makeup artist Scott Barnes with creating the signature technique that became JLo's iconic glow, which in turn became the preferred look of the era. The two had worked together since the year 2000, whether it was serving as JLo's personal makeup artist for her role in 2019's Hustlers or for the Super Bowl halftime performance. And while their working relationship and friendship spans 2 decades, there was a time where Barnes apparently didn't have her love. He spilled the beans during an interview on the Jeff Probst show after rumors circulated that he and 2 others leaked plans of JLo and Anthony's secret marriage. JLo's team completely shunned Barnes. He's like, nobody would talk to me. It was like I had like an incurable disease. And when the truth came out that Barnes did not leak the news or even know about the wedding ahead of time, he got a phone call, presumably from JLo, and he was like, oh, it was a call where it was like, hey, it was a big misunderstanding. We have like a lot of stuff coming up and I really miss you, so let's just get back to work. And although Barnes was extremely diplomatic in his recounting of the temporary fallout, it's clear that he never got a direct apology apology, and by the way, they reconciled, but he's still choosing to talk about it, so obviously he's hurting. An ex-private airport employee called JLo a nightmare person on Twitter before dishing out several stories about negative interactions with the superstar. Twitter user @MoiraWebb claimed she worked at a private airport on Long Island when JLo was in a relationship with Mark Anthony. She's like, I have so many stories about her being a rude and nasty person. It's gross to say, but each time she fails at anything, it delights me. That's like next level hating. Like, surely, okay, we know JLo's bad, but like, is it that bad? So Webb told like 5 separate stories on Twitter about interactions with Lopez, and they range anywhere from the bizarre to just plain mean, but it sure seems like JLo doesn't care about people beyond herself. We have one of them today. So she had a standing catering order, even if she was only going like 20 minutes away, and one of those things on that rider was a KFC bucket. And she was flying out in the morning before KFC usually opens, and her team freaked out that they didn't have it there. She, our narrator, was demanded to go get some. She was given some cash by the team. So she drove like a bat out of hell, begged KFC to open early, make one for her, and they were excited because they're like, oh my god, it's JLo! And they made one, but like our poor girl didn't have nearly enough cash, so thankfully they were like, okay, let's give you like a discount, we'll cover it, whatever. And as she's speeding back, she looks up and she sees the flight taking off. Even though like her entire team was like, she's not gonna leave without this KFC. They just sent her to do that as a punishment, I guess. Before Kim Kardashian leaves the house on a typical day, there will be numerous outfit changes. At least 5 or 6 if her former husband was there, an insider told Radar. Kim will tell one of her assistants to fetch more clothes from her massive closet, and then afterwards, she's gonna discard them on the floor. She's never gonna bother to hang them back up. That's what the assistants are for. And they also have to restock her closet right. If not, they're in trouble. According to the source, Kim is very particular about how she wants sweaters folded. And in one incident, a staffer didn't do it up to her standards, so Kim took one sweater out of the middle of the stack, completely messing up what was just done. Kim's closet was the holy land in the home, and she wanted it to look pristine at all times. She even had staffers stay late at night to organize it after returning from any kind of event. Britney Spears' former longtime assistant and friend, Felicia Collada, spoke out about her notoriously controversial conservatorship on a couple of occasions, but one of the most shocking claims came when she pretty much confirmed what fans already knew, that Britney's conservatorship had seemingly driven a wedge between her and her inner circle, who had been by Britney's side since the very start of her fame in the late 1990s, was very candid in the 2021 documentary, The New York Times Presents Controlling Britney Spears, claiming she felt Britney's dad, Jamie Spears, had pushed her out of Britney's life. It slowly became where I wasn't allowed by her side and wasn't allowed to have a conversation without other people present, which was very odd, Collada said, suggesting those involved in the conservatorship left Britney isolated. I don't have any way of getting in touch with her at this point. All the numbers that I have for her now are changed. Lindsay Lohan's assistant rolled on her when he spoke to cops after her car accident on Pacific Coast Highway back in 2012, and that's a big reason why things took the turn they did in the justice system, according to TMZ. Cops interviewed Lindsay's assistant at the time, Gavin, shortly after the crash, and this was at the hospital where Lindsay was being treated. And according to law enforcement sources, he told police he was riding in the passenger seat when the accident occurred, and Lindsay was driving. So as you now know, Lindsay told the cops she was a passenger in her Porsche, but authorities didn't believe her, and lying to cops gets somebody in a lot of trouble. Gavin's statement was the final nail in the coffin, when he said he saw Lindsay behind the wheel. Via Twitter, he also posted comments directed at Lindsay, urging her to get help. At Lindsay Lohan, after bailing you out last night, I hope and pray you get the help you so desperately need, he wrote. We are all rooting for you. And shortly after, he posted another message, writing, life is not a movie, it's a reality that needs to be faced. Ouch. Mariah Carey's former personal assistant, Leanna Azarin, claimed she was subjected to battery and harassment during her approximately 2 years of employment before being wrongfully terminated by the singer in 2017. Well, that's according to a lawsuit filed with the Los Angeles Superior Court on the same day that Carey sued Leanna, accusing her former assistant of secretly filming embarrassing videos in violation of a non-disclosure agreement and trying to extort her out of $8 million. According to a copy of Leanna's 32-page complaint, she says she was hired by Carey in September of 2015 at a salary of $250,000 per year, which eventually increased to $328,500. Leanna claimed the job entailed her to be on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to assist both Carey and the singer's former manager. According to the lawsuit, Leanna claims the manager subjected her to verbal and physical harm, including repeatedly ridiculing her about her body by putting iPhones, remote controls, and utensils under certain parts. Apparently, the former manager slapped her in body parts and called her names that we can't repeat. On multiple occasions, Leanna claimed the manager tackled her to the ground and then urinated on her. According to the lawsuit, Carey knew about and was present for much of the alleged mistreatment, but permitted it to continue. And when Leanna complained about the manager's conduct in October of 2017, she was fired 1 month later. so she was suing for battery, discrimination, harassment, and wrongful termination. The manager's attorney couldn't be reached for comment on the allegations. But according to People, Carey's lawsuit accuses her former assistant of being a grifter, a peeping Tom, and an extortionist, because all of these secret videos were filmed, and apparently Leanna claimed if she released it, it would be personally embarrassing and professionally damaging to Mariah Carey. Leanna displayed the intimate videos to her friends and coworkers and said that if she was ever let go, she'd sell them for a profit and buy herself a home. While some may assume The Devil Wears Prada is an exaggeration of how Vogue head honcho Anna Wintour operates, Amy Odell, the author of Anna the Biography, has learned that the magazine executive can really act as dramatic as the character that was portrayed famously by Meryl Streep. For the book, Odell chatted with some of the fashionistas' former assistants, and since they spelled the T anonymously, they didn't bite their tongue. To start, an employee referred to as Assistant A revealed their workday could kick off as early as 7:30 in the morning. The first task is essentially setting up the office. So the reason you came in at 7:30 is because Anna comes in before 8. She might come in anywhere between 7:45 to 8. So 7:30 to 7:45 gives the second assistant the opportunity to gather all the things she'll need for the day, printing out or setting up her schedule, listening to the voicemails and leaving out any messages that might be urgent for her to respond to in the morning, making sure all the periodicals and newspapers that she'd want to read are set out, and then, depending on when she is definitely coming in, potentially getting her coffee and breakfast. According to one report, Anna Wintour always asks for a blueberry muffin from Starbucks, though it mostly goes untouched. Assistant C had a similar play-by-play, noting they'd arrive in the office around 7:30, then you have to respond to any emails that Anna sent over the night before. Then get your own work done. Regardless of their early start to the day, the assistants had to be available around the clock. Requests came in day and night. One assistant had dreams. They would wake up in the middle of the night and think, do I have to check my email? This was Assistant B. She's always talking to you. It would just be constant emails. She was just firing away all the time, always needing something. Khloe Kardashian has found herself in hot water with former assistants numerous times. Most recently, her former assistant, Matthew Manhard, who worked for her from 2019 to 2022, filed a civil lawsuit claiming he wasn't paid for overtime, wasn't allowed to take breaks, and worse. In a lawsuit obtained by TMZ, Manhard claimed he was let go by Khloe in November of 2022 after becoming a member of staff in January of 2019. The lawsuit claimed Kardashian fired him after he returned to work in November following a knee injury from May that prevented him from working. Christian Bale's former assistant, Harrison Chung, wrote an entire book about his time with his former employer, a book entitled Christian Bale, The Inside Story of the Darkest Batman. He wrote some of the wildest things he did for Bale, saying, if Christian was away filming on location, I would take care of his 5 pets, along with stray possums in the backyard. I would do anything from sniffing Christian's armpits for BO right before he hit the red carpet, to making emergency sock runs if he was all out of clean ones. Actress Taran Manning found a horseshoe somewhere when the criminal case against her for harming her makeup artist was dismissed, with one small string attached. So Manning was arrested after she allegedly punched and kicked her makeup artist slash friend slash roommate after a night of heavy drinking. She was charged with causing harm and obstruction of breathing or redness circulation. The victim, Holly Hartman, declined to prosecute the case, and a judge granted an adjournment in contemplation of dismissal. To translate, if Taran keeps her nose clean and does some community service, the arrest and criminal charges go away, as if it never happened. So Holly was Taran's assistant and makeup artist for a long time, but everything ended. Naomi Campbell isn't exactly the nicest boss to her assistants, as many have claimed. Back in 1998, Georgia Galanis filed a lawsuit against Campbell, saying she struck her with her phone and grabbed her by the throat. Campbell pleaded guilty. 8 years later, another assistant named Amanda Bratt alleged she was struck in the face with a phone numerous times, according to Nicki Swift's website. Another assistant said Campbell gave insane demands, with one, Rebecca White, claiming she put 25 lily-scented candles in any room Campbell wanted. This was according to the New York Post. And finally for today, Lady Gaga, who is embroiled in quite the bitter lawsuit with her former aide Jennifer O'Neill, said it wasn't great. Jennifer O'Neill gave us mere mortals a glimpse into that when, apparently, Lady Gaga once claimed she was the queen of the universe, and O'Neill did not want to be her slave. So in court papers, Gaga whined that O'Neill failed in simple duties, such as laying out her toothbrush and soap so that she knew where they were. Apparently O'Neill lived large off her dime, wore her clothes, bagged the best bed on her private jet, and left poor Lady Gaga to lug her own suitcases. Now meanwhile, the disgruntled O'Neill, who is suing Lady Gaga for $390,000 in unpaid overtime plus damages, testified she was required to sleep in Lady Gaga's bed because she didn't sleep alone, and was expected to be working and available 24/7 for an annual salary of $75,000. Such hours and demands might seem absurd to those outside of showbiz circles, but to insiders, apparently this is par for the course. There's no such thing as having your own time, but for that minimum wage, not it.
Some celebrities just need to treat their employees better. Why? Well, Lady Gaga's former assistant Jennifer O'Neill claimed that she was owed payment for 7,168 hours of overtime, and claimed that she was responsible for ensuring the promptness of a towel following a shower and serving as a personal alarm clock for the singer so she could keep up with her hectic schedule. She also alleged that Gaga expected her to be at her service from the earliest waking hours and wanted her duties to extend to stadiums, private jets, fine hotel suites, yachts, ferries, trains, and tour buses. Now, she also alleged that the schedule meant she was unable to take breaks or even at times sleep. In her testimony though, Gaga said that Jennifer is an effing hood rat who is suing me for money she didn't earn, she said. She thinks she's just like the queen of the universe, and you know what, she didn't want to be a slave to one because in my work and what I do, I'm the queen of the universe every day. Gaga then claimed that her assistant hadn't appreciated the perks of her job, stating she slept in Egyptian cotton sheets every night in 5-star hotels, on private planes, eating caviar, partying with photographer Terry Richardson all night, wearing my clothes, asking YSL to send her free shoes without my permission. It is like such an amazing luxury that I get to travel around the world and have planes, and she doesn't even see what luxury is. Now, in Hollywood, Sharon Stone is known for the terrible ways that she treats her staff. Doctors ordered Angelica Castillo, one of Sharon's former employees, to undertake a brief period of bed rest, but Sharon denied her request and told her that she would have to come into work that day. Then when Angelica mentioned that she was still in pain 4 months later, the actress allegedly called her crazy and stupid. Now, another employee, Erlinda Ellman, who was Sharon's nanny, spoke out about being fired in February 2011 after Sharon reportedly discovered she had wrongly been paid overtime. Erlinda alleged that Sharon made a number of disparaging comments about Filipinos, including calling them stupid people. Sharon shamed Erlinda for frequently attending church and on one occasion forbade her from reading the Bible in her own room. Now, Sharon also ordered her not to speak to her 3 kids because she did not want them to talk like her. Then Holly Ann Hartman was Taran Manning's assistant as well as her makeup artist. Holly Ann alleged though that she was physically attacked by the star. She even claimed that she'd been choked by Taran during one particular altercation. Taran was then ordered to stay away from Holly Ann after the allegations came to light, while the former's attorney said in a statement, they had a late night argument that turned into a bit of a physical altercation. Now, Holly Ann, who had been close friends with Taran for a number of years before the altercation, made the decision to forgive the actor for the attack, and because of their close relationship, didn't want to see her prosecuted. As a result, Taran was ordered to carry out just 1 day of community service following the incident, and was told by the judge that she had to stay out of trouble for 6 months to avoid a more severe punishment. But yeah, that doesn't seem too nice to me. Now, Anna Wintour has served as editor-in-chief of Vogue since 1988. She has become an important figure in much of the fashion world, praised for her eye-emerging fashion trends, but there's also another side to her. Her reportedly aloof and demanding personality has earned her the nickname Nuclear Wintour. Now, ever heard of the film The Devil Wears Prada? Yeah, that was based on an assistant's experience with Anna. Miranda Priestly is the main character in the story, and she is a monster to her assistants. Miranda is ruthless, demanding, and doesn't understand that her staff members have lives of their own. Now, she doesn't get close to anybody and expects her assistants to be there for her day and night. Now, interestingly enough, no one in the fashion industry has come out to dispute these claims about Anna, and when asked about the novel, Anna simply stated, "I always enjoy a great piece of fiction." Yikes. Mariah Carey is known to be a diva, but her former assistant, Yesler Oliver, revealed the full extent of Mariah's controlling behavior when she filed a lawsuit against the singer in 2014. And some of the details will astonish you, they are just crazy. Now, she testified that Mariah had her work 16-hour days, 7 days a week. Not only that, but she wasn't paid any overtime for her efforts and even had to forego meal breaks. She put up with this for 7 years, but eventually quit in March 2007 and decided to get some compensation for her abysmal treatment. Her lawyer explained, "My client put her family's life on hold while tending to Mariah Carey's family, and Mariah repaid her by underpaying her." Now, unfortunately, it's unclear whether or not she actually received any money from the lawsuit, but the treatment was horrible. Katherine Heigl had a fallout with Grey's Anatomy creator Shonda Rhimes, and things got messy, and this is due to how she behaved behind the scenes. Now, Katherine has also been labeled as difficult, as she always has wardrobe issues, doesn't get out of her trailer, and she questions the script every single day. So if she acts that way for the people she works for, you know she acts that way, and even worse, to the people who work for her. According to a source on the set of 27 Dresses, she reportedly refused to film any scenes until her pregnant assistant ran around and got her a Coke Zero. Her pregnant assistant. Now that is just messed up. Now, she also refused to eat lunch next to anyone or have anyone speak to her once the cameras stopped rolling. Due to her difficult behavior, she has earned a bad reputation with actors and directors alike, and that's not all surprising. Now, Madonna is awful to her fans out in the open, so it's really no surprise that she's rude to her staff behind closed doors. An anonymous source revealed when one of Madonna's dancers broke her arm during practice, instead of being concerned for the dancer's well-being, Madonna had a meltdown. Another anonymous source said that Madonna does not pay very well, but she knows that the people she hires will work countless hours at less than premium wage just because she is Madonna. They also added that her ego is overinflated and she thinks that her staff are lucky to be in her presence. Now, her former nanny took to Facebook to let everyone know that she was over dealing with the singer's ridiculous demands and that she was quitting. Another former worker has stated that as a person, Madonna is totally overbearing and forces her staff to be available 24/7. Now, to prove how awful she is, in 2009, 5 staff members quit within 7 days. Yep. 5 different employees. 1 chauffeur, 2 nannies, and 2 personal assistants walked out on the star. Now, Madonna always says that she isn't a diva, but after hearing how she treats her staff, I think it's safe to say that she is a diva, and I would just never want to work for her. Lance Armstrong was regarded as a sports icon for winning the Tour de France 7 consecutive times from 1999 to 2005. But for much of the second phase of his career, Lance faced constant allegations of doping, and he denied it. That was until a confession during an interview with Oprah Winfrey in January 2013, when he finally admitted to all of his cheating in sports. But shortly after becoming Lance's personal assistant, Mike Anderson allegedly stumbled upon a box in his bathroom labeled with the name of a banned steroid, and the box soon disappeared. Now, as time went on, Mike started to feel more uncomfortable about things with Lance, as he had always denied he didn't dope. That's when, as Mike describes in a story, Lance fired him. He was asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement, in his words, that would have made me liable for a large sum of money if I ever mentioned ever having worked for Armstrong. Now, he refused, and soon after he faced lawsuits and public scrutiny. Now, this was before the truth came out about Lance's doping, and he was essentially a scapegoat. He was painted by Lance's lawyers as a disgruntled schemer and essentially had to move to New Zealand to pursue his dreams of opening his own bike shop, and they did all of this to just cover up a lie, and it's a real shame. And finally, Harrison Chung was Christian Bale's personal assistant for over a decade, and he wrote the biography Christian Bale: The Inside Story of the Darkest Batman. Now, he released lots of shocking information about the star. He said if Christian was away filming on location, I would take care of his 5 pets, along with stray possums in the backyard, as a special request. I'd do anything from sniffing Christian's armpits for BO, right before he hit the red carpet, to making emergency sock runs if Christian was all out of clean ones. Sometimes duties were as exciting as traveling to film festivals, and as dull as watching Christian surf in case something needed to be done on shore. Now, he also said that Christian is often awful when fans approach him, as he'd reportedly lecture little girls about being rude and intrusive until tears streamed down their faces and their parents took them away from our table. Now, Harrison even told the Daily Mail, "My therapist would describe my condition as post-traumatic stress disorder, and it really seems like it after having to deal with all that stuff."